Muslims aren't allowed to take interest. No gambling. No shady deals. So most people assume that being Muslim means playing the money game on hard mode. Here's the plot twist. For about 500 years, Muslims ran the richest economy on earth. Not despite those rules, because of them. Sounds impossible? Let me show you the receipts. The year is 850. A merchant in Baghdad writes a piece of paper. 4,000 kilometers away, in Morocco, a man hands over real gold for that piece of paper. No banks like today, no wire transfers, and no interest anywhere in the system. Muslim merchants invented 4 things to make this possible. Number 4 is my favorite, because Silicon Valley quietly runs on it to this day. We'll get there. First, the stereotype. A guy at my old job once asked me, completely serious, if your religion bans interest, how are you ever going to buy a house? And honestly, younger me had no answer. I knew the rules. I didn't know the history behind them. Nobody teaches you this. So here's what actually happened. Between roughly the 8th and the 13th century, the Islamic world ran the most advanced economy on the planet. Trade routes from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to China. Meanwhile, Western Europe was, and I say this with love, mostly arguing about mud. You don't have to take my word for it. Take the archaeology. Islamic silver coins have been dug up in Sweden, in Britain, in China. Think about that. A coin made in Baghdad, buried in Scandinavia. That coin was the medieval dollar, accepted almost everywhere. And trade wasn't a side hustle in this world. It was respected work. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came from a merchant family himself. And the Quran draws one hard line in chapter 2, verse 275. Trade is allowed. Riba is forbidden. Riba means interest, so one door slams shut. No lending money and watching it grow while you sleep. What do? You invent better doors. 4 of them. Invention number 1, the sak, a written order of payment. Some historians say this is literally where the word check comes from. 9th century, written in Baghdad, cashed in Morocco. Invention number 2, the suftaja, a letter of credit. Because the alternative was dragging a chest of gold across 3,000 kilometers of desert, a desert full of people with strong opinions about your chest of gold. So instead, you carried paper and picked up your money at the destination. Basically, they built PayPal on camels. 1,100 years before PayPal. Invention number 3, partnerships, bookkeeping, and the waqf, a charity fund that could own property forever. Boring? Maybe. But this is the plumbing every serious economy needs, and they had it centuries before anyone else. Historians describe early forms of capitalism starting right here. And invention number 4, the one I promised you, the Mudaraba. Pay attention, because you've seen this before. One person has money, another person has skills and time, but no money. The investor pays for the trade journey, the merchant does the work, and they split the profit at a ratio they agreed on before the trip. If the business fails, the investor loses his money, and the merchant loses his time. Nobody owes anybody interest. Now tell me that doesn't sound familiar. Investor takes the risk, founder does the work, profits get shared. That's venture capital. That's every deal on Shark Tank. Muslim merchants ran this model 1,000 years before anyone put it in a pitch deck. And Europe? Europe watched this system work for a few centuries and then did what every smart student does with good homework. They copied it. Historians trace Europe picking up these tools from the 13th century onward. Okay, but did it actually make anyone rich? Meet the Karimis, a network of around 50 merchant families that controlled trade across the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean between the 11th and 13th centuries. The poorest of them was worth about 100,000 gold dinars. The richest, up to 10 million. I did the rough math. A dinar was around 4 grams of gold, so 10 million dinars is more than 40 tons of gold. At today's prices, that's somewhere around $4 billion. One man, zero interest involved. These men financed sultans. When rulers needed money, they didn't call a bank, they called the Karimis. And before you think this was winner takes all, the same system had a floor built in, Zakat, the yearly giving that every Muslim owes, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. By the 8th century, it was organized as real social welfare. So you had risk sharing at the top and a safety net at the bottom in the year 800. So if the system was this good, what happened? Short version, history happened. The Mongols destroyed Baghdad in 1258. World trade moved to the oceans, and colonial powers rebuilt the global economy around their banks and their interest-based model. The long version deserves its own video, and yes, it's already on my list. But notice what did not happen. The system didn't fall because the rules failed. The rules delivered 500 years of wealth first. So the next time someone tells you that Islamic money rules are a financial handicap, you have the receipts. No interest never meant no wealth. It meant wealth built on trade and shared risk instead of debt. A model so solid that Europe copied it. And funny enough, every time a banking crisis blows up, economists suddenly start writing papers about risk sharing again. I grew up thinking my religion was a financial handicap. Turns out, I just didn't know my own history. That's exactly why this channel exists. How these old principles work today, halal investing, buying a house without riba, whether crypto is even allowed, that's what's coming next. Subscribe if you want to be there for it. Assalamu alaikum.